Hey, is it working on your side? I don't think I can hear you.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
what's
could.
up, man?
I could hear you. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, we haven't talked in a bit, I guess. What have you were out of the country for a bit, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, I'm
yeah. What have,
in Costa Rica.
and then how were your holidays and everything?
Yeah, basically every day is a holiday now.
Is
If
that
anything, the
good? Are
weekends are
you
work.
staying? Like, is that too much free time, or are you keeping busy?
That's a good question. There's still lots of like admin that I've been doing. I've been doing more admin trying to like simplify my life. I
Yeah.
spent all those years complicating things and building imaginary systems that are intertwined with my taxes, and it's been taking
Mm.
a lot of effort to shut it down. I sold my property. I've cashed out. You know, they're in the ether coming back to Canada right now, and got to pay off my line of credit and all that stuff. There's all these like other actions that you have to do. And before I close my bank account, I got to pull my statements and I got to prep everything for taxes for the final time. Do a balance sheet. It adds up. Doing one balance sheet is a lot of work when you got three, four, five, and you have to go through all your receipts and make sure things are
Mm.
organized. It just, yeah,
Yeah.
that's just taxes and tracking numbers because you can't trust anybody else to do it. They'll just fucking steal from you. So I find that like, since I've been retired, I've been busy and I haven't been making time for the things I enjoy, like composing pianos. Like I do sometimes, but
Right. Yeah, it's hard to
I
divide
have
it
been going,
when there's no,
yeah,
when there's no like work and then shortage of time. It's hard to just like sit down and do what you enjoy if there's no like special time to do that in. If you just can do it whenever you want, I think it is very hard to like section off some time and discipline to just do that activity, even if it is fun.
yeah, because if you think about how things are supposed to be, you're supposed to be out there hunting and gathering food for most of the day. And then, agriculture revolution made things easier for some, not all. I read Guns, Germs, and Steel and Sapiens. I have a good appreciation, thanks to those doctors, about where we came from. But what I've gathered is, we'll take the path of some cases, in a lot of
Right.
cases, it's growing your own food and living sedentary lives. Sedentary life, yeah. But in other cases, it didn't work because the land wasn't fertile enough, and so you still have hunter-gatherers, parts of Africa and Australia, and like still got the Aboriginals there because there's no fucking way you're growing crops in Australia. It's like the most barren wasteland out there with the most erratic climate. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is it seems like we've evolved to like always be moving and foraging for food and like not occupying a lot of our time. So to have the food in the fridge, but to not have to like work to earn money to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's unnatural to have copious amounts of free space and like exploring and checking out your surrounding area. So it's a good problem to have, but it can actually be really bad for your health, mental health, physical health. So, I'm countering it with going to the gym daily. Didn't go today, but I've crammed in too much shit today. Like I actually was a little bit busy today.
Yeah.
Um, but when my schedule is finally cleared and I have routine, because coming back from Costa Rica, things are a little bit. I had a lot of appointments I had to get done, but I'll be able to go to the gym in the morning, train for 2 hours, throw in the spa not the spa, the sauna, which is really good for your health to get the microplastics out. You sweat it out, you sweat out the toxins. You gotta ice your
Yeah.
balls though, otherwise it affects your fertility. But 30 minutes, sweat, good to go. And I had that in Costa Rica. Not that it was optional. It's like if I went outside, I was sweating like fucking crazy. It was like always 30. But there's some good lessons learned from that. Um, Having consistent sun exposure, but not baking like a fucking retard. People out there tanning, don't do it because it's stupid. Like you're giving
Right.
yourself cancer. But going out there and just having sun exposure because you're outside. I don't wear sunblock. I don't wear sunglasses. I don't look at the fucking sun, right? But like I will drive when I drive the car and out of the direct sun and I have my sunglasses. Is just why not? But I find that, and I listen to my body. Like when I start to get warm from the sun, I just get out, and I got a nice tan. I rarely got burnt, and it cleared up my rosacea. It doesn't make any sense. They say that the sun is like it's gonna make the rosacea worse, but the UV radiation must have like fried the capillaries that were near the surface, and I got rid of the mites. So my skin cleared up. It's the most fucking young looking and healthy it's ever looked.
Wow.
I'm 37, and I come back here for a few days, and rosacea is starting to come back. The mites are starting to come back. So yeah, there's something to be said about the sun exposure, the warm climate, the cold, the darkness. Just is not good for us.
There's some dry air too. Yeah. Now since I moved to Washington, the air is much more dry here. I gotta wear moisturizer all the time. But I think that's hard. That could be.
Yeah,
It's definitely hard on my skin. The dryness.
yeah, that was a big move, eh?
Yeah, it's paying off though. It's nice. There's trails.
You did the
It
move.
is. It's dark. It gets dark like early, but there's a if I want to do like a run outside, I just go at lunchtime and I can shift my hours around, and so I can get like a good run in on a nice trail, like sort of any day. And then yeah, a lot of trails for hiking on the weekend and some pretty good stores and stuff, like a decent like downtown area, and there's a little train to like a larger place called Bellevue. It's been pretty nice so far.
That's great. Yeah, being near nature is important, and I'm, glad you did the move. I guess the cost of living there is better too. Cost of housing is better.
Yeah, less like state tax and slightly less rent, and yeah, just a lot of like tons of little tiny improvements. Uh, yeah, just like anywhere else, there's a lot of cars, but there are a decent amount of ways to like get away from the traffic and be on trails, so it's pretty nice.
Good, very good. Yeah, I find like BC is good for me for that, like being able to get to nature quickly. And yeah, it can be a bit wet, but it's not too hot. Summertime gets a bit dry, but it's always like kind of mild. And I like bundling up without having to like freeze my ass off. So right now in Toronto, it's not too bad. There's not a lot of snow. Well, there is. I don't think there's any snow. There's a bit of ice, but I went for a little walk and it was nice. My face didn't freeze off. It was good. So it's what was I saying before? Yeah, having idle time. So I try to fill up the day with like the stuff that's important, like being active. It's harder when it's colder and more miserable outside to like go hit a trail.
Yeah,
I find it's just like it's a barrier. So it's what I've been working on is like trying to find a place that has the least amount of barriers for me to have a life that's like active. So um like the lifestyle that I want is to be active, to be outdoors, to be healthy. And it's hard to do that when you have too many barriers. Like you're not going to form a habit if you got countless barriers blocking you. And I already got like mental health stuff, PTSD, that acts as a barrier to everything pretty much. So that is already one thing against me. And so I have to limit the number of additional barriers, otherwise I'm just not going to want to do things. Or it's going to be like insurmountable for me.
Hmm.
So, I find that training in the morning, early afternoon is like a good start to the day. And then kind of like loosens up my body because I got some physical injuries that tightens me up. So, I can actually enjoy the day and not have as much pain. And then so when you don't have pain and you feel okay, then you'll be more inclined to do the things you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Costa Rica is interesting. It's extremely expensive, if you're paying gringo prices, but I find that I lived off the economy. Like I went to grocery stores and
Oh yeah.
cafes and like I paid rent. I didn't do the data thing, but the cost is extremely high. Like I'm pretty sure the budget was 7K Canadian and we spent over 10 just to get there, to get the rental, to eat out occasionally, to buy groceries when needed. Like we didn't starve ourselves or not have experiences, but everything that we did do is very, very pricey.
Huh. What do you think the bulk of the price comes from? Stuff like flights and rental.
Rental is the most expensive thing. So I thought I did my homework, but nope. I was aware that they have a third party liability insurance that's mandatory by the country because safety third over there. They're honestly like they're just dumb. Pura Vida, good people, but they really have no situational awareness of safety, of their own safety. The stuff that they do is just ridiculous. They ride around without helmets or goggles on their motorcycles or ATVs. They swerve on the road. They don't secure their loads. There's potholes everywhere. The motorcycles will pass you going down or uphill, blind corners, like areas that, like, for me, I'm like, I know not to pass because, like, I'm gonna die if I
Right.
try to pass somebody. No matter how quick I think I am, if I don't see what's oncoming, that's the death wish. And people are always passing in those moments. And we went to Santa Teresa, and it was just next level dumb. People not stopping for stop signs, walking in the middle of the road,
Hmm.
sort of half parked on the road, causing people to like swerve into the other lane, going way too fast. So I guess because enough people got hurt, but from tourists, the government made it mandatory for third party liability insurance that like we have to pay for. So if someone gets hurt, even if they're at fault, they get covered.
Huh.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because maybe now they're just trying to get hit by a car so that they don't have to work anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's expensive. I
It's
paid a
hmm.
thousand Canadian extra just for this additional insurance for the month,
Huh. And that's
and then I
like,
had
is that
to,
like every tourist that visits gets hit by that?
yeah. So
Huh.
I thought I got a deal with Expedia, and I asked it. Like I even took the proof of insurance, put it through ChatGPT, and I'm like, "Is this the third party liability insurance that I need for Costa Rica?" It said, "Yeah." Nope, it was fucking wrong
That's funny.
because I thought I was
That's a
fully
classic.
covered.
Yeah. It's funny to see like a classic chatbot lying and getting someone charged extra. It's funny
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what
It,
there's.
it
Yeah.
fucked me up. It caused me a lot of stress because I thought I
Huh.
was covered. I thought I had everything good to go.
Yeah, it's too
Because I
bad.
don't, you never want to pay their price, but that's the only price to pay is whatever they want to charge you. And that's an issue is that they have a monopoly, so they can charge you whatever they want, which is why it was $1,000 for the month.
Hmm.
So the other problem too is like my MasterCard, no, my Visa has I got a stupid good, like a really, really good Visa. It's the infinite privilege. And they have basically they have collision. So if something happens, my ass is covered. But there's a lot of fine print. And when you look at the fine print, it basically is like if you go off road, there's a chance they're not going to cover you. So the fine print basically made it that if you drive your rental in Costa Rica, you're and anything happens in any of the roads because a lot of roads aren't paved. Like if you
Yeah.
need to go anywhere, you're going off road, and there's like craters and shit. So and they won't cover you. So basically, you have all this insurance that's good for nothing, and so you're just driving this big, massive liability. So I would say that the rental car was the biggest expense because we shopped around for a deal for a rental that was 1,600 ish American for the month, which was reasonable. A lot better than 6,100 American, which is what one hotel quoted me, and I basically told him to get fucked. And I blamed him for the gentrification of his own people because the guy had a Tico name. So yeah, I was not happy. It was at the Funky Monkey Hotel.
That's interesting.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Santa Teresa is very overpriced.
I wonder about something. Like I met someone that did this one time. It's like pet sitting, and I never bothered looking into it. But there's a website somewhere where you pay like $100 a year to get like just sort of like vetted as like a pet sitter, and then people on the website can sort of just like trust you to come to their house and stay at their house when they're away and look after their pets. But people do this like all over the world. So that's what I always think of whenever I think like if I wanted to live somewhere for free in another country, I might just look into like pet sitting and then wait until someone like wants me to just like go stay for free at their house, look after their pets, because apparently that's like a common thing on this website, and it doesn't cost very much apparently to like be registered as a pet sitter.
Yeah, and
mm.
for an old broken guy like me, that's probably the best way forward because I love animals.
Because that would take out so
Uh,
much of the
yeah,
expense. Uh, People
yeah,
seem
you
pretty
pay for a
generous too.
flight.
Like the person that I met,
Yeah,
they said that the pet owner just let them like use their like this was in like America or whatever, but they were allowed to like just use the car that person owned for free because the person was like not at their house. Obviously, they were like looking after their pet. They could use the car, and that was all. I think people are just generous when like they want their pets like looked after well, so they try to establish like a trust relationship, so they let you kind of use all the perks of their house, I guess.
the risk that these people are assuming is legendary. Like I can't understand
Mm.
it, but that's wonderful. I imagine the testing, the verification is rigorous. It has to be like you must not have a criminal record. That kind of. I mean, how can you travel with a criminal record? I don't know. Maybe you can.
Mm-hmm.
You can travel with a criminal record. I don't know, but I mean, imagine that's something that they're gonna ask, that they're gonna want. Is like proof that you're a good person and that you know, you have a way of making money, so you're not having to rob people. But
Yeah.
I
Somehow,
would say,
yeah,
the
it's
most
kind of
cost-effective
puzzling.
way.
Like, how do
I'm
people?
glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, I imagine.
I forgot.
Like, yeah, I would think if you go on this, like, I sort of picture myself going on this. Like, I've never looked into it, but I imagine there's people that have like done like small pet sitting jobs. You build up like a profile, then you can see like the reviews on their profile. Maybe you like video call them and you just see like they're like. I feel like with a video call, you could kind of tell like what's the backstory, like why are they doing this, and you could get a sense of like is it pretty much trustworthy, and uh, especially if we're the ones doing the
It
sitting. Like
helps.
there's no risk for us if we're like doing the pet sitting. It's just trying to like build trust with whoever's letting us like sit for the pets, and then the more trust you can build, the more like people will let you into their larger houses or for longer, or in different country or something.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a great idea if you want to travel, and you know, the pets are a little bit of
Mm.
a risk, but as long as you're following the instructions to a T,
Yeah.
you'd have to cover your own ass with, I don't know, something, insurance or whatever, because something could happen to the animal. You never know. Like, I would have every contingency planned out, but
Yeah.
you never know. Animals get sick. They might eat something that's not good. They can go missing. You never know. So there's a risk with that, and that's kind of an awkward situation to be in. Like, you're at this person's place, and they're relying on you to take care of their little fur babies. It's a lot of responsibility. It's not for everybody, but I think it's a yeah, like it's a legendary amount of risk for the people who are opening their homes up doing that. But I've seen it before. Thanks for reminding me. And I think moving forward, um, I would say if you want to save money, it's the best way. But part of me is like, I don't give a fuck about the price tag. I really just don't want the risk. So I was gonna say like I would get zero liability insurance moving forward next time, so that if I
Mm.
fucking total the car, it doesn't matter. Like it's fully covered. Because I don't want risk. I don't want to have to like eat unnecessary massive costs. Like I don't want to have to buy
Mm.
a vehicle because the insurance company decides that, I was off-roading too much or something. I hate bureaucracy and I hate insurance companies, especially in their bureaucracy. So for me, like I found when I was in Costa Rica, I was kind of stressed every day driving that car.
Hmm.
But outside of that, if I could get rid of that stressor, it would have been pretty much golden.
Have you been anywhere
The
where there's like a
surfing,
bunch of train coverage? Like not in Costa Rica, but in like other places have like train networks. Have you ever seen something like that?
Toronto, outside of
Yeah.
Toronto now, I would imagine Europe is good for that. Like everything's kind of interconnected, so trains are good there. But I never took the trains there, so when I fly across the pond to check out Italy, it's not just going to be Italy; it's going to be other places too.
Yeah, that a trip like that would be cool if you can do like hostels or some kind of. Would you be interested in like a backpacking around Europe sort of trip and trying to like whatever people do to cut the cost?
Well, that's the thing is if I'm going to be going to different countries, like a week here, a week there, and just checking out the sights and sounds, it's backpacking. Yeah. If
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere for a month, I'm burning out the heavy duty bags, and I don't have to pay for them, but like I'm going for the month. So Timothy Ferris is like, it's fun. You pack a week's worth of stuff, even if you're going for a month, and then you shop on the economy. Well, I'm very, very, very picky. And I found in Costa Rica, they say that they're very like health focused and organic, but then when you hear the other stories, like there's massive use of chemicals, and when you like look at all their packaged goods, their cleaning products, everything is scented, everything is like, in my mind, toxic and poisonous. Everything's plastic and cheap. And so for me, it's like if I'm gonna go for a month somewhere, I'm bringing all like the creature comforts of home. I'm bringing my own soap. I'm gonna bring my own fucking knives and my own cutlery. That's how ridiculous I'm gonna be. Because the knife that we were using was dull and like bent at the end. It was shit. Or I could bring my own sharpener, but I can't sharpen knives if my life depended on it, so I'd have to take it to the butcher anyway. But you know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna bring my own setup for the month, and so pack heavy because I'm gonna hop into a rental car or have the shuttle guy pick it up and put it into the shuttle. Who's gonna drop me off wherever I'm gonna pick up the rental car? But I'm gonna have a rental car, and I'm gonna have wheels to get around. So there's that. But if I'm going to Europe to backpack, I guess I could get a rental, but I think part of the experience would be using the trains and going from country to country.
Yeah,
So the
they
thing I'm
sell like
looking at,
a train pass. You can get like a train pass for a month. I think it's fairly expensive, like a couple $100s. But then you can take a lot of the trains, and then most cities have like a downtown core. You can walk around downtown, get on the train, go to the next city. I think
like
that can
you're
be pretty
talking to
fun.
a guy who just dropped $2,500 on a rental for the month, so I think I can handle 200 bucks.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking at is pure 100% merino wool, super fine quality. I know that it's fragile as fuck. Icebreaker, like my shirt disintegrated after a year, but I'm looking at ultralight gear to travel with. One,
Mm.
because I'm fragile. I can't. Yes, I strength train, but carrying obscene amounts of weight on your shoulder for long periods of time isn't great for your body, shoulders, knees, whatever. So for clothes, I'm looking at having a few outfits for different things, but where I don't need to wash it as often because merino wool doesn't really hold a stink. And
Mm.
if you could go backpacking, or rather, sorry, a hike, and then just go right into a restaurant afterwards, which you can do with merino wool, because you can sweat your fucking ass off. It dries, you don't stink, and you can sit down at a restaurant like you didn't do anything. You just, it's great. So
Yeah.
I'm going to look for a better technology for my clothes. I'm rocking silk and cotton like when I was in Costa Rica. And I did have merino wool and cotton shorts, like pure. And those were great, but kind of thick. So, they weren't, it wasn't optimal because it did make the cotton shirts stink eventually,
Mm.
and I had to wash them quite a few times. But I'm going to be looking at like ultra lightweight solutions, which when I go backpacking, I can just use those, like backcountry camping. I
Yeah.
can use those clothes for that too. Like I'll have like the one shirt that I wear and get soaking wet throughout the day, and then I change into my longer stuff in the evening so the mosquitoes don't rip me apart.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it was a good experience overall. It was a lot of new, and for me, like I don't like being taken advantage of. So there was some stress there, and you got to keep in mind when you travel, like new bugs, like the water sources could have different bacteria in it, and
Yeah.
North America, we're pretty fucking fragile. Our gut biomes are weak as fuck.
Mm.
Pardon my mouth, but if you
Everything's
want a
very
good
clean. Yeah,
biome,
water's clean and everything. Yeah.
everything's too clean.
Yeah.
Like to have your mother's biome passed you have to be born vaginally and breastfed. And women are electing to do C-sections for shits and giggles, which I think is a terrible thing if you don't need it because you're cutting open your core. It takes a long time to heal, but the breastfeeding piece is really important. I mean, like some are very shy; they don't want to do it in public. They pump, I guess. I guess that's good, but then there's like this latching and oxytocin release, which is very important for bonding. Uh, I know it's not always possible. Some babies have a hard time latching, and it can be very frustrating. But like they really got to try. Babies need to be breastfed. They should not be having any formula. Formula should be completely and fully illegal. Anything there
Illegal.
should be wet nurses available. It should be illegal. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
there should be. You should not be taking it. A baby shouldn't be consuming anything synthetic. It should be taken like right from the mother, or like another healthy woman. Our milk, not our milk. A woman's milk is engineered for a human baby, and the biome of the mother is passed on to the baby. The thing is, if the mother has a depleted biome, well, it's a depleted biome is passed on. So and then the baby's in sterile conditions, and then the kid doesn't get to grow outside and play because helicopter parents. Like I've seen it firsthand. Like poor kid hasn't really gone outside to play because the mom's afraid for him to be in the suburbs. So they stay inside and they play video games, and that's their social life. But they don't get to go outside. They don't get to play in the dirt. I played in the dirt. I made stone soup in the sewers as a kid. Not in the sewers, but like in
Yeah.
the grate leading to the sewer.
Right.
That's where I met my first friend, and obviously eat the soup. We weren't that dumb, but it was fun to
Yeah.
make it. But you're playing with dirt and shit, right? So it's like, but what? And I had a good biome. I was vaginally birthed, and pretty sure I was mostly breastfed, but I had extreme antibiotic use because of walking pneumonia and parasites and stuff that really took me out. Now I know it's interesting because I just learned that the medication for parasites isn't always an antibiotic, and it should actually be not that. It should be something that actually compromises the membrane of a parasite, which then causes paralysis, so it can't procreate and continue to fuck you up. But in my case, an antibiotic was used twice. And it was a massive nuke to my system. And since that, my
Hmm.
my biome has been pooped.
Hmm.
And it's taken me all these years to repair it with a natural path. Well, a year and a bit, sorry, but it took me all these years to get better.
Hmm.
And then when I was in Costa Rica, I guess I had some water that may have been contaminated, and I got traveler's diarrhea, and I had the most painful poops, man. Most painful poops because I was also taking a hydrochloric acid supplement too, which is to reduce the pH of your stomach acid to be closer to 1 to 2. And so I had that, and then I also had diarrhea. But what's happening is that all that stomach acid is being pushed to my intestines, and it caused the most
Oh yeah.
excruciating fucking poops I've ever experienced because everything was inflamed from the acid.
Right.
I thought I was gonna die, man.
Yeah.
For 2 days, I was just like, oh, dying, just dying. Hasn't been that bad in a long time. So,
Uh,
I threw in the chat GPT, and it's just like, yeah, stop the hydrochloric acid, you dumbass, and, let
it
it
was
pass
yeah
through your
right about
system.
it wasn't right about the insurance, but it was right about the the acid.
Yeah, it was, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I got better relatively quickly, too, even though I ran out of my probiotic because my gut biome is, one sec, sorry. My gut biome levels are mostly good. Like, I've done the testing to show it. So, even though I stopped the
Cool.
probiotic seed, which was an additional buffer, I probably wouldn't have had any issues if I didn't run out of the probiotic. But anyway, I did. But you know what I realized? Separate from like getting traveler's diarrhea and being mindful that that's a thing when you travel to a foreign country, I realized something. Also, something to do with evolution. All right. You know how we drink water and fluids when we eat our food?
Like inside the food, the water, or like just along with.
No. Yeah, you know how like people like chug water?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Do you know how stupid that is?
Like drinking
Okay,
pure water.
what does water what does water do when you add it to acid?
Was it I like it explodes or something?
It, no, if you have acid in your stomach and you drink shit tons of water just before or during when you're eating your food,
Oh yeah.
you're reducing the acidity of your stomach.
And then just you're like
Stomach
slowing
acid.
digestion.
Well, you're not digesting your food properly. So when you have proteins, your stomach acid will drop from like 2 to 1 to denature the proteins and like B12 and stuff, pull vitamins out of the food. So if you're chugging a bunch of water when you're eating your meal, it doesn't make any sense. You're not actually breaking down the food properly. And here's the other part too. I've had a terrible relationship with food. One crutch that I had, I was back up for a sec, is drinking. Not a bad crutch, but I had a crutch. And it was for social encounters. And a lot of people, I guess, have a crutch for social situations. You go to a place and everybody's serving alcohol because everybody has all these barriers up, and you got to lower
Yeah.
your inhibitions or whatever. I can't find my. I'm tired, so you gotta lower your guard and be social and be more personable and be more yourself because we have all these traumas or whatever. But like I stopped drinking, going to social things. I realized like I was having to do, especially I would have to take a couple shots to be around certain people, a few of my partner's friends, because they're just chaotic. And so I stopped, and part of it was because it's Brian Johnson's like just don't drink if you want to live a long, healthy life. And then I'm going through my naturopath course and supplements, and it's like if you every health condition, one of the main tweaks you got to do to get back to health is stop smoking and stop drinking. And I'm also taking a medication to try to keep my hair, and that's putting a lot of wear and tear on my liver because I have an excess of estrogen that my liver is having to break down because I'm blocking the DHT from happening because of this enzyme, 5A reductase. I don't know what it's called, but so I actually like looked at my hormones and I could see that I have this abnormality that my liver is having to deal with. So anyway, that's a crutch. My other crutch in life is eating. I eat when I'm bored. I eat when I'm tired. I eat when I'm happy. I eat because I'm hungry. I eat because I'm not
Yeah.
hungry.
That's my thing.
you
I
know?
do that. I snack and eat like junk food all the time, and then sometimes I'm aware that I overeat a lot of the times, or just eat when I'm bored. Yeah, that's what I do a lot, and a lot of junk food.
Yeah, but you're a machine, and I guess you burn it off. I get fat. So,
Hmm.
and then I get upset because I'm fat. And then I put all this energy into losing the weight, train, try to get my sex appeal back, and I'm fine. And then I fall back into the same cycle, and I get fat again, and I
Hmm.
feel unhealthy, and it's a vicious cycle I've had all my life. You know how to break that? You know how to break that cycle, Richard?
I don't
Chew
know if
your
I've
fucking
heard
food.
chew it,
No, chew your
yeah,
fucking food. That's it.
like just to slow
That
down
is
the
it.
rate.
That's all you have to slow it down.
Hmm.
Deliberately chew your food. Not just gobble it down standing up. That's what I would do. I can do it standing up. I can do it sitting down. It doesn't matter. But chew your food. I'll take a bite. If I'm standing up, I'll put the bowl down. I'll do something else. I'll come back. I'll take a bite. Or I'm sitting
Hmm.
down. I will take a bite, chew it to paste, protein, vegetables, whatever. Put the utensils down and actually taste my food. It has now become unnatural for me to eat fast. I
Right.
remember so I sat down at Swiss Chalet today and I would order like double leg or half chicken and a half a rack of ribs and a fries and a salad and it'd be gone in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Boom! Gone. I would eat this thing like you know, it'd be instantaneous. Gone. I was like, I'm gonna try to push it now. Just do a double leg with a salad. No sauce, no bun. I did do a bit of chalet sauce, but no salad sauce. And it took me forever to eat that. And I was nearly full finishing the first leg and at like three-quarters of the salad. And this is the other part. You want to lose weight and not be obese. You chew your food, you eat slower, it actually gives your body, your stomach time to signal your brain that you're full. It releases
Right.
leptin.
Yeah.
And if you're not chewing your food, also there's like enzymes that are released. It's good for your jaw. Um, you break the food down into a paste, which means that it's less work for your stomach. And so then your stomach acid will break it down. This is the other thing too, is by stopping the water consumption before and after or during. I don't have water with my meal now. By stopping the water, I'm not affecting my pH. So I'm eating slowly. My stomach is digesting the food, and
I don't have to eat as much. And
Hmm.
I have no desire to finish all the food on my plate anymore. Before I would have like this sort of internal pressure because my grandmother finished all the food on your plate. But I am so full after a small portion. I can't eat anymore.
Hmm.
It's crazy, man. It is actually life changing. Chew your food. It's that simple. Take your time. Like
Yeah,
a
that's
big piece
definitely
of
true. Yeah,
steak.
it takes. I've noticed. Yeah, it takes time for the stomach to like signal that it's full. And yeah, I eat fast. I eat so much food before my stomach sends that signal. But yeah, chewing is a decent
Do it.
strategy for like a very intuitive way to slow down.
I want you to chew your food and let me know how it goes for you. Like literally just say it's gonna be you have to kind of be a bit deliberate the first few times. But now that I mentioned
Mm.
all the health benefits, not overeating, actually being able to break down the food properly, it's going to be easier on your small intestine as well. Your poops will be more consistent. I don't, with the exception of like the super shitty time that I had, my poops are perfect. Absolutely perfect. Perfect consistency. Fucking falls out of me like it's nothing. Barely need any toilet paper. The best shits of my life. Everything is broken down properly. It's not, you know, it, it's so simple. It's
Yeah,
it's stupid.
yeah. This the
And
simple
not
things in
drinking
life.
what? Think about just think about the drinking of water at with a meal. All right, hunter gatherers. You're out there. You're harvesting your food. You're stuffing your face as you come across the food. You hunt. You kill the animal. Whatever. You know. Let's say you don't have a village. You're just gonna like cook it. But imagine the time before we had water bladders. Like, let's get rid of the technology, the ability to carry water. What did we have to do? What do animals have to do? They have to go to a freshwater source and drink the water. Hopefully, a freshwater source and not stagnant. But you know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, we're not consuming the food right by a freshwater source every time, or we're just gonna like be like drinking down a bunch of water. Like we don't need to do that. That's not a natural thing for us to do. There's not always gonna be fresh water when we're gathering nuts and eating fruit and shit. So this whole sitting down with water and chugging water with the meal is kind of unnatural when you think about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, uh, it makes sense.
Six
It's
million
hard to
years
know
in
which
Kenya.
way. Uh,
But 6 million years in Kenya, my friend, that we evolved as a species for like the last million years. So 7 million years per species. 6 million years we spent in the Kenya area. It wasn't probably called Kenya at the time, but we spent the last million years migrating across the planet. But imagine 6 million years of our species before fucking technology. What did we do? And it takes our body a long time to evolve to be the way it is. So if you think about our digestive tract, the stomach acid, like for instance, like our stomach, like when you look at the length of the intestine of a herbivore versus a carnivore, for a herbivore, it's super long because the greens, the fibers, all that stuff takes a long time to absorb and process the nutrients. The carnivores, the true carnivores or total carnivores, whatever the fuck they're called, cats, for instance, they have a smaller intestinal tract. They eat their meat raw and it passes through them quickly. So it quickly is absorbed, and maybe it's because the meat will rot. I don't know. I don't know why. Outside of like, it's just they don't. It's quicker to pull the nutrients, I assume, from the meat. It's like they are made that way, and you can't feed a cat a vegan diet because its intestinal tract is the way it is. Like you'll fucking kill it if you give it a vegan diet. So it's like we are the way we are because of evolution, because of time, and everything that we think is correct that has been created by civilization, it may not be correct. Wearing shoes is another example. We don't need fucking shoes. Well, on concrete and asphalt we do, but that, again, that's an artificial thing. We're supposed to be walking on the earth, you know? Anyway, sorry for talking at you, but that the chewing your food was an incredible realization for me.
Yeah, that one does seem fairly simple. It's like a good life hack to get what we want to do. Like just eat slower. Like yeah, just doing eating slower is hard, but putting it in the turn, like approaching it from that direction of like just a very intuitive thing one can do that actually has a benefit, which is like tasting the food as well, uh, and that achieving it that way, it seems pretty smart.
Yeah, it took me a little bit of time to create the habit, and now it's kind of weird to not do it. But really, I think what was key for me was like the health benefits and understanding that chewing the food is part of the digestion process, part of the cycle. And if you drink shakes, you're kind of skipping the chewing process, which isn't really all that great either. So it's like I'll do shakes periodically, but you can't live off
Yeah.
of them.
Well, shakes, I think they
It's not
absorb
good.
too fast. Shakes have a lot of sugar, and they because they're already chewed and they can
Yeah,
just go down. Yeah, they release like too much sugar, I think.
and if you add a lot, if you use water or like a, you know, the the reducing, or it's hard because like you lower your pH, become more acidic. So I kind of confuse myself with my words here, but as we get older, our stomach acid becomes more neutral. It's apparently because of just age, but it's something that we all have to watch out for because stomach acid is like where the food is actually broken down. It's where the food is denatured. It's where, you know, it can be broken down to useful ingredients. And if we can't break the food down, our body cannot pull the useful ingredients from it. And my naturopath for me suggested digestive enzymes indefinitely because I had deficiencies in different nutrients. Now, part of that problem was Giardia parasites, which we also can get, which we also have to look at. And Giardia interfered with a lot of things and interfered with my ability to process fats, which then led to gallbladder issues, which stopped me from going to um, Thailand. Like I had
Mm,
really severe gallbladder attacks.
mhm.
The doctor said don't travel.
Right.
But because my body wasn't able to break down the fat, because Giardia got in the way. But anyway, it's something to watch out for. If we have lots of gas and we're bloated and have IBS like symptoms because of all the gas, and because like a lot of people live stressful lives, which is going to inflame the gut. But you compound that with like the fact that you're not breaking down your food properly because you're not chewing it or it's not digesting properly, then you're going to have big clumps of food in your gut that the bacteria are going to love. There's half of your body is bacteria, and then they're going to eat that food and produce gas as a byproduct and make us extremely uncomfortable. Did I lose you?
Yeah, there's a lot of things to balance that, uh, like sort of the in like to each individual, it's a bit like subjective in terms of what balance they need or what they have or don't have. Uh, it's hard to zero in on like, 'cause it's sort of like the way like food guides or whatever, they're always like varying the amounts of different foods or groups we need, uh, because they're like honing them in as we learn more. And then like as trends in society come and go, we sort of learn like what is, what we need or don't need, or things that were that we thought we needed, but we're just, they were like neutral things or something.
You can't trust
Yeah.
them at all. The people who are in charge determining what's healthy and what's not. We still have cigarettes on the fucking market. How are cigarettes legal, for instance,
Yeah.
But the Canada Food Guide, I can't speak to the American one, but like big dairy influences or has influenced the food guide. And yet the majority of the population is lactose intolerant. And so being lactose intolerant to some degree, which when you consume it increases inflammation in the body, which then leads to disease, how in any scenario is that good, And then more and more people are becoming, or at least realizing, that they're sensitive to gluten, or a part of the gluten called gliadin. Never can say it right. But if that gets past your gut lining because you have leaky gut or whatever, your body will attack it, thinking it's a foreign entity, and at the same time attack your thyroid because it can't tell the difference between the two. And yet, grains were like one of the foundation of a healthy diet, and it's like, no, it's not. It's not. We're not supposed to eat copious amounts of grains. If anything, it should be super sparingly. So I think the U.S. had an updated food guide, at least Brian Johnson pointed out, and said it was a lot better, and like grains were like one of those foods that you eat very rarely, and I fully agree with that. Fruits, vegetables, meats, those are foods that you have more regularly. My cousin has this habit of saying everybody's different, everybody's different, everybody's different. So like everything, I don't know. But when it comes to the human body, I would have to say, like, yeah, there's a lot of differences, and we have intolerances and diseases and whatever else. But for the most part, the makeup of our body is the same. We need movement, for instance. We cannot live sedentary lifestyles. It will make us sick. We cannot handle copious amounts of stress. There are people, of course, there's always the anomaly. And that's kind of like how evolution happens, is there's this mutant or anomaly. Right. And if they have an advantage in the environment and they procreate more easily, then their gene's going to be passed on. And then, you have the gradual, over millions of years, like changing of the body based off of these mutations that happen. So yeah, we're not 100% the same. But I don't know.
And like, I guess different people are stressed by different things. That's a big thing. Like the cause of stress is different for everybody. And that can really influence a lot.
Yeah, but is that like a nurture thing? Is it an environmental thing? So like if you, for instance, grow up with a solid family, lots of love and lots of care, and you had a good childhood and you were exposed to new experiences, I would say that your ability to handle stress would be amazing. Because let's say if you had a stressful situation, you could fall back onto your support network because, we're stronger as a family.
Yeah, support.
But if you have a kid that wasn't raised by their parents, like me, who gets thrown into the military without a support network, yeah, it can like overwhelm that individual and cause them a lot of distress. But really, if stress is impacting somebody, eventually the end result is all the same. It's disease, whether it be heart disease or IBS or something, but excessive stress always manifests as something negative, something bad. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of great things, but what they don't talk about is the stress that they're under. And like, yeah, you know, a person might be extremely successful at a young age. They say they're 45 and they have 100 million in the bank, but then they die at 50. Were they really successful? So are they die of heart disease because of the stress?
That seems fairly common. 50. It seems like there's kind of a trend of like people that do things, they do it between like 20 and 30. Maybe that, like, I think that number is kind of going upwards. But it feels quite challenging to like come out of nowhere and like contribute something of like on a mass scale at like, you know, as we're like in our 30s, 40s. I feel like we got to be more. It does make sense. Like we can use the experience we got in like from 20 to 30 to do like smaller things. I feel like make smaller contributions or like for more specific like audiences of people or like people our age. Uh, but it seems kind of like the humanity is kind of like people do stuff 20 to 30 and then there's a lot of life to be had after 30, but it doesn't seem to, because I guess the people with the most energy that are like going out and that are in the world are like 20 to 30, so they sort of set the trends and decide like what is happening. So it seems like it's usually like under 30-year-olds that like create the most like spectacular stuff. But then of course like now like we may not be exactly interested in that stuff because we're older, so then we're interested in like what our age group is generating, which is never like the most popular thing or like transformative thing, but it's still like interesting to us, I guess. But then I don't know, like
Yeah,
as I get to 50, like I feel like for me I'm very interested in like technology and making websites essentially, but as you know, definitely like as I approach 50 and I have like less eyesight and can't like type as fast, I feel like I lose a lot of the ability to create stuff like in a computer, which is kind of that kind of slows people down a lot in like digitally anyway.
yeah, you know, it's. I start to wonder though, like you're saying that the younger ones tend to like
Just setting
drive
like
change
trends
and are
and
creative and stuff, but
hmm,
you know, I would say that a lot of folks in the system, like we put our kids through the institution at a very young age. And the whole idea of the institution is to make them conform to a certain standard and, you know, be blue collared or white collared cogs. I find that it's like the kids that kind of don't fit the mold, that don't do well in school, they're the like the trendsetters, the creative ones, the entrepreneurs, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, whatever is
Because the
like breaking the
institution,
pattern and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, the institution is all about pattern. It's all about conformity, and it stifles, it kills curiosity. It doesn't reward it, at least not for the most part. It's like, here's your curriculum, here's what you have to do, be perfect. It doesn't reward failure or mistakes, it rewards perfection. It's the opposite of what I think, you know, kids need and what people need. And I would say the longer you're exposed to institutions, so as we, the more it kills our curiosity. And at least in my case, like it definitely is like the curiosity. I'm trying to get it back. But overcoming a lifetime of institutionalization is very difficult. It's like when you pull a chicken out of a coop, that's like an industrial coop, and
right.
you let it into a pasture. It will stand there for 2 weeks, not knowing what to fucking do with itself. Now you by, you know, decades. It takes the human a long time to stop standing still. Fear, I would say, is sort of the counter to curiosity, and trying to overcome that's pretty difficult. I know a lot of people who are traumatized, a lot of people who are institutionalized and stuck because of fear. A lot of people. And a lot of them gravitate towards video games. Don't know if it's thrive. There's something about that I resonate with is like being a character that's not you, and then growing that character to make them stronger to overcome adversity.
Yeah.
And then a really important part of that a lot of the time in these RPGs is comrades, strength in numbers. Final Fantasy VI, the US version 3 in Japan, was very, very good for its story, but also like the fact like there's all of these comrades, that all these friends that came together, and every friend had their incredible backstory. Of course, 7 is legendary, but 6 is really up there too. But I know a lot of people that gravitate towards these games. But and then there's also just like people get married, love kids. Kids are a massive drain on resources. Now, any parent would tell you that the greatest thing that's ever happened to them, for the most part. I mean, sure there's people that don't want to have kids, but then there's like that drain on resources, but also like being tired and drained. And when I'm saying all this, I'm thinking of the Netflix series. It's like 100 Humans, and it was like an experiment that was done in that, which was it grouped people based off of their age into different ranges.
Yeah.
And what they found was that the younger, like 18, 20 something, 25-year-old group, like the young group, had high energy, high cohesion, good communication, good problem solving. They thrived. They defeated everything. The 25, or like the older group, I'd say like high 20s, 30 to like 40. There's another group like 40 to 50, and then there's I'm pretty sure another group, but then there's like the retired people, the older people.
Yeah.
And so in between, they all sucked. They got frustrated. Their ability to, like, it was like their IQ lowered or something. They weren't able to solve the problem. Able to do the challenge.
I think your voice might be cutting out a bit.
And yeah, the older group was able to like solve the problems and work together effectively. They also had all the knowledge and wisdom of their lives. They weren't as physically capable, all of them, but they performed very well as well. And what the study showed is like the younger group, the older group, they did well for different reasons. And we kind of talked about the younger group, why they are likely better, because more energy and younger, more curious. But in between, it seemed like they were drained, they were tired because of stress, because of life, the grind.
Yeah.
So they were all real humans, old from the economy, and the old people too. So it's like that was a real sample size, 100 humans.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting result. I gotta head out now, but that's an interesting note to end on. I'll look into that show. You said it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But check it out, Netflix or streaming. Okay, man. Thanks for the chat.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.